Hey, you guys. Hope you guys are having an awesome day today. Super excited to be in here live with you guys. Today we are going to talk about relationships. So as you know, I'm a certified life coach helping people in the areas of health, wealth, and relationships. Today we are going to specifically talk about relationships, but they all of those main areas add into our overall health, our overall mindset. They all kind of bleed into each other, and how we do one thing is how we do another. So all of these areas are so important, but today we are going to talk specifically about 3 tips to to revive a struggling relationship. So this is going to be kind of a tough topic. It's going to be some tough love here, but very, very good information. Hang on with me till the end, and I'm going to give you 3 applicable tips that you can put into action right now in your relationship. So if you are feeling frustrated and bitter and unhappy, just unsure in your relationship, frustrated would be probably a really good word to describe when you're in a relationship where you don't feel like you're getting what you want, just frustrated, then this is for you. And some of these things are things that are you might not even want to hear. But if you want to feel better and you want to stop feeling that way that just eats you up inside, then these are going to be some really good mindset shifts for you. And then, like I said, at the end, I'm going to give you guys 3 actionable tips that you can implement right away. Hey, Bridge, how are ya? Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, if you want to feel happier, these are some good mindset shifts. So a lot of times when we're in a relationship and we're struggling in a relationship, we're not sure about a relationship, it's because we don't feel like that person is doing enough for us, right? Like they're not giving us what we need. And when I say this, I'm not speaking at you, I'm speaking with you. Like I totally felt the same way. So I'm not justifying, not empathizing with you. A lot of times we feel like that person is not bringing to the table what they should be bringing to the table. We've chosen them. They're not bringing to this relationship what we need. But the thing is, you guys, they don't have to. They don't have to do anything for us. And I know that's hard to hear. And a lot of people are gonna be like, but I do this for them and they should, and I get it. But the thing is, you guys, if you want to feel better, it's understand that person that you're in a relationship with, they don't have to do anything for you. They are living their own life with their own feelings and their own issues and their own problems, and they're going through all of their own things. They don't have to be doing anything for you. And I know that's tough. They're on their own journey though, with their own feelings and struggles. And it's not their job to make you happy. That's not what they're there for. They're not on this earth to make you happy and do things for you, to satisfy you. That's just not what they're here for. And a lot of times when people are unhappy in their relationships, and you know what's funny? Someone asked me who do you like to work with, or what topics do you like to help people with the most? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't picked this niche, right? I haven't niched it down to, but I always feel my biggest thing people come to me with and they talk to me about and they ask for guidance is relationships. So I do have a heart for that. I feel that's probably what I seem to work with the most. And most of the time when people talk about relationships and I start asking about other areas, I find that they're unhappy in other areas, not just the relationship. So it's how is your health? This light is driving me crazy. Sorry, you guys, it was blinking and going off right before I went live, but I had to go live. So I'll ask how's your, how do you feel in your health? How do you feel in your body? And it's well, that's not going great. And it's how are you feeling in your career? Have you found something that's giving you purpose? And it's well, not really. I'm not, I'm unhappy in my job, or I haven't found what's, my purpose is, or what fulfills me and things like that. So there's other areas where they're not happy, but they're unhappy in the relationship, right? And so the key that I really want to offer to you guys there is that happiness comes from in us. We're looking, so many times people are looking at their partner to make them happy, and blaming their partner or aiming everything at their partner, and the focus is on their partner. And it's really like they're not, the happiness isn't coming from within, and they're looking for someone else to make them happy. I'm going to turn this light down. It's like driving me nuts. Sorry, this light is so bright and I can't find the thing to turn it down. But anyway, yeah, so many times we're like hyper focused on our partner and what they're not doing for us. And we have all these other issues that like we need to be working on us, right? Because the happiness, I always say, like, anything that they bring to the table, have it be a plus. Like, you don't need them to be happy, right? Because you're happy on your own. You're happy in yourself. And anything that they bring to the table becomes a plus. And that's just so, so important. Another thing about when you're just happy in anything they bring to the table, like, it makes you more attractive to your mate. Like, it makes, so a lot of times people are like, you know, my partner doesn't, you know, they're not around enough, or they don't spend enough time with me, and da-da-da-da. And then it's like, if you were happy on your own, a lot of times when we just work on us and then we're happy inside, then that makes us more attractive to our partner and they want to hang out with us more. So it is really about finding that happiness in us so that we're not needing it from another person. Because another person, one, it's not their job, but two, they're never going to be able to make you happy, ever. Not this person, not the next person. Like, the happiness has to come from inside. Next mindset shift is, I listened to someone who had a relationship podcast. I really liked her, but she would always talk about how responsibility and obligation do not go hand in hand. And I loved that, and that always stuck in my head. Responsibility and obligation do not go hand in hand. So you can blame another person and think it's like their job to change, but we all have an obligation to put into our relationship. Like, just because that person, it's their responsibility and it's their fault, that therefore it's their obligation to work on the relationship. Like, responsibility and obligation don't go hand in hand. We have an obligation to give to our relationship and to show up for our relationship. Like, don't blame someone else and put the responsibility on them. Responsibility and obligation do not go hand in hand when it comes to love and it comes to a relationship. And I always remember that. That always stuck in my head. And like it's always their job to change, right? And just a quick note on that. With me and my husband, when we were really, really struggling and like going to, and I'm not saying anything terrible about like health counseling or therapy or anything like that, but actually the person who I was just talking about, who does that podcast and stuff, she talks about this as well, as the like stats for counseling and relationships are really staggeringly bad. And because when you go into counseling or into therapy and things like that, a lot of times, and again, I'm not saying anything bad, and there's probably great, but a lot of the times it's like they listen to you and they're trying to analyze, it's like who's right and who's wrong. And so you come out of there thinking like, well, I'm right, they're wrong, or vice versa. And the person that's wrong is just forced to like, this is your fault and you need to change or get out of it, right? And the other person's like on their high horse, like, yeah, you are wrong and you need to fix or get out of it. And that was kind of what happened. Like when me and my husband went to counseling, it was like we sat in counseling and we kept going and going. And it's like, for me to hear, you're right, she's right, Ryan, we can't figure it out, Ryan. Like, why are you being like this? You have this great wife. And he would sit there and go, I have this great wife. He would agree. And it's like, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, you have this great wife and it becomes this like, this thing where it's like, you need to change, right? Like, I'm right, you're wrong, and it needs to change. And I will tell you guys something, the thing that made the biggest impact in my marriage was not going to counseling. The biggest thing was when I threw that whole concept out the door and I just chose to love him. I chose to love him even though we were having, I wasn't getting what I needed out of our relationship. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. But even it didn't matter that I was right and that we went to a couple therapists and I was right. That didn't help for me to say I'm right and for him to know he's right. Like, that didn't do anything. The biggest thing that changed is when I threw the you're wrong and you're not giving me this away. And I decided that I'm going to choose to love you even though you're not giving me what I need. And even though you're wrong. I'm going to throw that away and I'm going to love you. And then everything changed. So I'm really speaking about this from personal experience in this. If you're struggling with this, like, I know I've been there. Sorry, let me check my notes. But really loving and showing grace, even if you're right, and even if that person is wrong, is huge. Relationships are not 50-50. So this is the last mindset thing, and then I will go into our 3 hot tips, but relationships are not 50-50, you guys. So many times we think like 50-50, like you give me, I'll give you, it's all happy. You guys, relationships are 100-100. And you might have heard that before. It's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Each person has to give 100% into it, despite what the other one is bringing to the table. And when that happens, magic happens in your relationship. And you might be thinking like, well, he does this, and you guys, I get it. Like, he can be totally wrong. She could be completely wrong. Like, you could know 100% that person is wrong. I'm telling you, when you go in 100%, no matter what, and it's not meet me in the middle, it's I'm coming to you 100%, magic things happen. And it's not just for them. Like, you might be thinking, well, she doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. She doesn't deserve that. You don't know what she's done. You don't know what he's done. You don't know what they're doing. Like, it doesn't matter. Do it for you, because magic things happen inside of you, and then you watch magic things happen. And I'm telling you, it's 100-100. And because of this, like, that might be tough to hear. Like, you might be like, no, like, I'm in this and they're going to give and I'm going to give. But the thing that's awesome about looking at it like it's not 50-50 and looking at it like it's 100-100 is that it means that, like, the power's yours. So when you're giving someone else this job to make you happy, you're giving your power away. You're dependent on this person to make you happy or meet you halfway to make you happy. When you say it's 100-100, like, you're empowered. It's like, I have the ability to change my relationship. I have the ability to change my happiness. I have the ability to change my life right now. I don't have to wait on someone else to do things for me or to make me happy. I have the power right now to do that for myself. You do 100%. It will change you. So this means that happiness is in your control. You decide to give 100%. It's magic. So let's go into three quick tips to apply to your struggling relationship. Okay. Number 1, decide. Number 1 is to decide. Decide to love them today. And I'm going to say, fake it until it starts to work. The crazy thing, you guys, about this is when you switch from anger and frustration with someone to being like, okay, I'm going to decide, and it's not easy, you guys, deciding to love them, and you start faking it, and you start like, oh my gosh, I appreciate this about you. Oh my gosh. And you start over the top, like, fake it until you make it. It becomes real. Like, it like becomes this blossoming thing. Like, it works. Like, you fake it, and then all of a sudden it really starts to work. I remember honestly sitting in my garage with my husband, 2 kids, and just being like, I can't do this. Like, I'm done. Like, I've got it. It's been years of therapy, like all of this stuff. Like, I can't do this. I am done. I had looked for apartments. I found an apartment. I was all set up. And I remember, and it was like, he was sad, but I was mad. And it was like, and he was thinking, you're right. And it was like, oh, and I'm ready. Like, I'm all set up. And I remember like looking at him and just thinking, I'm going to put a pin in this, and I'm going to try this crazy like experiment and just decide to love you. I'm going to decide to love you. Instead of this, I'm going to decide this. Nothing changed in him. Like, nothing was, and my husband's an awesome guy. Like, he's better than me. I'm not talking bad about him. I'm talking, this is a true like situation. Our journey years ago. And when I made that decision, it was like something shifted, and like it was like this self-fulfilling prophecy. It was like, I'm going to love you, and then you're going to turn into this person that deserves this love. right? It's like so many times we're like, we're not giving you that until you deserve it, until you do this, this, this. And it's like, if we just loved them like they were that person, like all of these awesome things come to fruition. So tip number 1 is just to decide to love them, whether they deserve it or not. Decide today and then fake it until it starts to work. So that's tip number 1. Number 2 is, this is a tough one for me too. Number 2 is give up your need to be right. Give up your need to be right. Even if you are right, who cares? Like, who's benefiting from it if it's like, I'm right, right? And you're in this like struggle with the person, like, you're wrong, I'm right. It's like, who cares if you are right? Let go of the need to be right and to like prove that you're right. And this is really tough for me because I'm Italian and I'm a hothead, and you guys, I'm usually right. Like, I'm 99.9% right. But the thing is, who cares? Like, who cares if you're right? Everyone's right. Everyone in their head is right? We're all walking around thinking that we're right. So it's like, give up the need to be right, and you're going to notice things are they go so much easier, and it's so smooth. So give up your need to be right in your relationship, because it's not helping anyone. Even if you are right, even if you're 100% right and they're 100% wrong, who cares? Let go of the need to be right. Number 3, third tip, and if you're just joining in, we're doing 3 tips on how to revive a struggling relationship. And then number 3, which is probably my favorite tip, is work on you. So take the focus off of your partner and focus on you, and make sure that you are feeling fulfilled and that you are living a life where you're happy and you're not putting that job on another person to make you happy. So how are you feeling in your health? Are you working on your health? Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling healthy? Are you feeling vibrant? What about your career? Or do you feel like you have a purpose-filled life? Are you doing something that you love? Or is all the focus on your partner and your relationship and you're not happy? Like, so many times it's like, work on us. And that, like I said in the beginning, everything that they bring to the table can just be a bonus. And that's a beautiful relationship, when you're not needing from that person and you're both just bringing awesome things to the table and happiness to the table. So that was my 3rd. And then I do have a bonus, which is really probably the most important thing. But man, putting God in your marriage is like, you can't lose. Putting God in the center of a marriage is like one of the most beautiful things that you can do for yourself and for your marriage. You might not be able to transform that person that you're in a relationship with, but God can. So having that be in the center of your marriage has never hurt anyone. So whatever your views are, just know that. People who put God in the middle of their marriage, it never hurt anyone. So that is it. I hope that helped you guys. Hey, Bridge. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Mama. Even my mama's on. So I hope that helped you guys and inspired you guys. And again, that's like coming from my story too. So I'm empathizing with you guys. So hopefully my story helped you as well. All right. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Okay.